65 potential jurors were selected in this murder case, and today we have 12. And as we mentioned, only one is black. The Superior Court Judge Timothy Walmsley, who will oversee the courtroom, has acknowledged, as Alex just said, that intentional discrimination by attorneys has been seen for those three defendants, appearing to have shaped the jury selection now, and it's already created quite a conversation and controversy there at the courthouse. ABC News contributor and host of the Law and Crime Network, Brian Buckmeyer, with us. He's going to be following the trial there in Georgia along with us. He is there. Brian, you were able to go inside that courtroom once for the jury selection. What do you think? Will this statement by the court, the judge, of intentional discrimination in any way directly impact the court's proceedings here?
So thank you for having me. It was actually interesting. I was there, as you said, for one day of the jury selection, and I've been there for quite some time as well. I actually got to speak with Ahmaud Arbery's older aunt this morning. And when we talk about the jury selection process and what would have occurred yesterday, that being what's called a Batson challenge, where the prosecution said the defense collectively had 24 strikes, and 11 of those 24, almost half, were for African-American individuals. They challenged that and said there is bias here by the defense. And what the judge said is there are two steps to this. First, you have to see whether on its face there is some form of bias. And the judge actually, to his credit, I've never seen this from many judges, said, I see it. I can see what you're doing here, that you've asked questions of both white jurors and black jurors. There are more questions for the black jurors. And those jurors who said, I've seen a lot of this case, but I can put it to the side and still listen to the facts of the trial. The white jurors seemed to move on when the black jurors did not. And so the prosecution made the argument, and the judge, I think you can tell from his facial expressions, his tone, he was very cerebral when he said, the law of Georgia does not allow me to act. He said the first step of seeing whether or not there was bias, he said, I saw it there. I see what you're doing here, defense, but you have given non-race or race-neutral explanations for excluding them. And it almost seemed like he was saying, my hands are tied. I have to agree with you, defense attorneys, and I have to say that these jurors are not going to come into this trial.
Wow. Well, clearly race is already a key issue in this entire case. Do you think that the prosecution can use the judge's statements there as a weapon against the defense now? He clearly made his point.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen because this is a judicial ruling. I think we as a community and we as the media can talk about it and definitely highlight that he had some trouble with this decision. It didn't seem like one that he took lightly. And I think that they will maybe intertwine some of the racial aspects of this case into it, but I don't think they'll be able to use the actual judge's words in front of the jury. In Georgia, when they pick a jury, they have what's called a silent strike. It's almost like a silent auction, where the jurors are not actually hearing a lot of the arguments or even hearing who's being selected by the defense or the prosecution. So what we're talking about, they're not going to hear, and they didn't hear at the time of jury selection. So only we can see what's going on. But with most judges, they're humans like anyone else. And so you may see that maybe his rulings will go a little bit more to the prosecution throughout today. For example, two of the arguments today, the prosecution won both, where the defense were trying to bring in a use of force expert because Travis McMichael was a former U.S. Coast Guard for 10 years to try to corroborate what he did that day. That's not coming in. The other one is that there was a little bit of THC in Ahmaud Arbery's system, and the defense wanted to bring that in to show that he was aggressive or confrontational, had combative behavior because of that THC. The judge says that's not coming in either. And so you can kind of see the judge weighing the evidence and the facts here. And maybe yesterday's ruling weighed upon him, and he's kind of leaning a little bit more to the prosecution today. But I don't think that the actual information as his decision is going to be before the jury.
Final question, the evidence you're paying close attention to. Of course, there's that video that went viral. We've all seen it. Essential to this case, clearly. What else?
So there's that video. Definitely, I would say that those are the skeleton of this case. But when you start thinking of the tendons and the muscles that go along with it, it's also the body-worn camera video of the officers when Gregory McMichael is talking to the officers. He's telling them that he didn't necessarily see Ahmaud Arbery come out of the home, merely that he saw him running down the street. Now, that's important because we're thinking about citizen's arrest and self-defense. Now, the citizen's arrest law that they're going to be using in this case has been repealed and replaced. But because they were arrested at the time that it was enacted, they're going to argue the old citizen's arrest law, which they're allowed to. But that law even said you have to have a certain amount of information that a felony occurred. If you simply see an individual running down the street, that's not a felony. You could believe they may have been committed a crime beforehand, but that body-worn camera tells us that he didn't. The other major issue is 3 shots went off. And the big question that I think most of our viewers have to listen to in this trial is whether or not that shotgun is semi-automatic or pump action. Semi-automatic, maybe Travis McMichael can argue, hey, in the heat of the moment, it went off 3 times. But if that gun is a pump action shotgun and he had to pump it each time to shoot Ahmaud Arbery, the second and third shot could land Travis McMichael in malice murder territory, which is a top charge that the McMichaels are facing.
Well, Brian Buckmeyer, I know you'll be with us as we follow this trial. Appreciate your time today. We will have gavel-to-gavel coverage of it as it starts tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.